This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hello, and welcome to Her Story, the show to encourage more women to explore the possibility of using their skills and talents by participating in leadership roles within our community. I'm Tiffany James, and I have the pleasure of hosting this program. Her Story is here to encourage women in our community to actively engage and use their voice to bring attention to issues they are passionate about, with the hopes that we will all get more involved. Please welcome my guest, Leigh Greaves. Leigh was born in downtown Toronto and was happy to be raised in some of the first social housing projects in Scarborough. As a teenager in the 70s, she moved with her hardworking family to 10 acres in Uxbridge to build a homestead. Back when interest rates were 17%, Dutch elm disease was killing all those beautiful elm trees, and the raw land was still affordable. After becoming a medical laboratory technologist, Leigh met and married Frank Greaves and moved to Kingston for 6 years, where she obtained her art certification in microbiology and parasitology. When Frank finished his medical training in radiology, they moved their little family to Owen Sound, with Leigh kicking and screaming all the way. There was no job for her here in Owen Sound. She was overqualified, and she was a doctor's wife. And that's when her life started to get interesting. For the past 12 years, Leigh has volunteered with the Harmony Centre Owen Sound. The Harmony Centre is a nonprofit organization dedicated to the preservation of a historic building for the use of our community to share, create, educate, and perform. Welcome, Leigh. I'm excited to hear your story. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you, Tiffany, for this opportunity.
So can you tell me a little bit about your background? It's quite a extensive background, from farming, it looks like, and then to what led you to wanting to become a medical laboratory technologist.
Basically, at the end of high school, I had two choices. One was art, which I just loved, going to art college, and the other was sciences. I was a good student. So I chose sciences because I was interested in fine art, and there's not a lot of money in fine art. I came from a family of limited means and needed to support myself. So I chose medical laboratory technology, and that was a wonderful choice. I ended up loving that work. Ended up in Kingston, specializing in microbiology. Loved it, and parasitology. Loved it. Got advanced certification in that, and then that's while my husband Frank was doing his medical training there to become a radiologist. And fortunately, but unfortunately at the time, or so I thought, Frank didn't want to work in a medical or a teaching center. He wanted to work in the real world, and so found a job in Owen Sound. But unfortunately, there was no job for me here. And back in those days, it's very interesting. That's a long time ago. They didn't like to hire doctors' wives. I was actually told this. They didn't like to hire doctors' wives in case there was a possibility that they might need to be disciplined. It would be awkward. So it's very different now, I can tell you. Of course, we have people out scouring, looking for doctors. And when doctors come out, they also look for something for their spouses to do that's worthwhile. So it's a big change. But in any case, I was very sad because I had to leave that passion behind. I loved looking down the microscope and seeing the worlds down there. It's fascinating, microbiology. But it ended up opening up a whole bunch of other opportunities for me that I could not have possibly figured out or dreamed.
What brought you to Owen Sound? Well, but how long have you been in Owen Sound? Sorry, that was my question.
Since 83.
Oh, wow. And in 83, they told you. Wow. Okay. Yeah. No, glad the world's changing.
I was shocked. I'm not happy.
Yes.
But I had three little kids, or two kids at that point, and then our youngest daughter, Brianna, was born here. So I was busy being a mom and very fortunate to be able to stay home and look after my kids.
Yes. But could you tell me who the main influences in your life are?
Probably first and foremost, of course, as you're raised, my mother. I was raised by a very strong mother, Lynn Bewley, and a very hardworking father, Bud Bewley. Um, and my influence, my husband, of course, Frank, is a great influence on me and a great supporter. We have a wonderful partnership. We support each other. But I think you're probably looking for female influences, and I had my mom's mom, my maternal grandmother, Clara Lum, was a slightly terrifying little lady from England who came with a grade 3 education from England to Alberta, where she ended up. Well, they lived in a soddy when they first started out, and then they ended up on a 1,000-acre wheat farm. That's where my mom was raised. And her husband died, and she had to basically run the whole farm, and she did pretty much until she died. But the thing that I remember about her, she was very quiet, very tiny little woman, but she used to say, "Don't be backwards about going forwards." Just which didn't make a lot of sense to me as a child, but more and more, as I grew older and had opportunities come, it's like, don't be backwards about going forwards. Just go.
I love that.
Yeah, it's
That's
a good
great.
thing.
Wow. So do you think that's what your mom growing up on a farm is what prompted her to move you guys to a 10-acre farm when you were a child?
No, that was just getting out of Toronto. My father, he was a horseman. He uh, worked at the thoroughbred racetrack as a groom. He had to
Wow.
go to work at the age of 15 because his father had died. And so he worked with the racehorses, with the thoroughbreds, and that's an absolute passion for horse people, as you know.
Yeah.
And so we lived, as you mentioned, fortunately, in some of the first housing projects in Scarborough, back when Scarborough was still farmland with apartments springing out of it. So that was a very good, very fortunate move for my family. Um, but they dreamed of having a place where they could have their own horses. And
Yes.
so that's how we ended up being out on this little 10 acres. It was 3 acres cleared and 10 acres bush. And we cut the trees for the pole barn, and it was it was Little House on the Prairie-ish, but it was great.
That's wow. Do you have a passion for horses from
Yes, it's a
yes?
disease. Yes, and so when we moved to Owen Sound, we lived in town for 15 years, but there was always that pull to be out on the land, and so we did manage to move to Annan, where we were on a 100-acre, old farm, old stone house, and we had our time with our horses and chickens
Oh,
and ducks and all the rest of it. So yeah, it's very and wonderful. It was like 8 minutes from town. It's just the best thing to live in Owen Sound. You can have the best of everything here.
you can, yeah. You can have the country life and still city life and only be 5 minutes from town. I love that about Owen Sound.
That's right.
Would you say the move to Owen Sound changed the trajectory of your life? Obviously, you had to give up a career, but you still found passion in other things in Owen Sound. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, that's definitely the biggest factor, I think, in all of our lives, being able to live here. Um, so, as I said, I gave up my first career and then looked for something else to do as my children got a little bit older. And I was always involved in whatever they were doing, which was wonderful. Children's choir, Montessori school. Just there's so many opportunities in Owen Sound to do things that are a little different,
Mm-hmm.
and so it opened up lots of opportunities. But one of the things I wanted to do was do something to help the family. So I ended up investing some of our money into rental units. I knew about being a tenant.
Oh,
And, I knew how important that was to have a good landlord. And so we ended up buying a little fourplex just down the block from where we lived. And then some other opportunities in downtown Owen Sound came up with commercial property. And so I became a landlord, an evil landlord. But, and a lot of these were old buildings. And did a lot of renovation, made a lot of connections to people in the trades who fix things and keep things running in this town and everywhere. And yeah, so that was a very interesting thing to do, and it led me to my next career, which was in stained glass. As I mentioned, I wanted to go to art school, but that didn't happen. But eventually, one of my tenants downtown, Applejack, was a clothing company in town. They told me they were moving. They were going to Kingston, so I was going to have an empty building right on the corner of 10th and 3rd, 10th Street and 3rd Avenue. And the very same day, the woman that was running the stained glass store in Owen Sound, that I had been, learning how to do that craft and being kind of artsy, very same day, she told me that they were going to be closing.
Oh,
And so I just kind of put two and two together and thought, why not? So ended up buying out her stock, hired her that into this building that on the corner that was being vacated, and created Artemisia Artistic Glass Design, and happily designed and did art there for
lovely.
I think 12 years maybe, teaching lots of people how to do stained glass. So it's funny how I got to do art
Yeah,
anyway.
that's nice how that comes full circle. I
Yeah,
love
yeah, it's
that.
wonderful. So there's a lot of my art around town in churches and in buildings, and it's very satisfying. And I think it took me to some very interesting projects. The best one for me, my favorite one, was the synagogue here in town, that Ezekiel
Nice.
synagogue. I got to do the windows and collaborate with all of those families and hear their stories and turn it into glass and make it something permanent for them. And
That's
that was a
beautiful.
very rewarding experience. Just to
And that's on Third Avenue. So if anyone
Yes.
wanted to go, they can drive by and see your artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's lovely.
Yeah.
Um, can you tell me? I want to talk a little bit about the Harmony Center.
Mhm.
That's a daunting task to open up a charity. Could you tell me a little bit about the Harmony Center and what it does and what led you to that project?
Well, what led me, like so many things, when you say yes to opportunities and you end up doing things that you really couldn't have dreamed of. For me, the Harmony Center is kind of a culmination of all of these things that I was able to do uh, prior to the opportunity to do something. The whole thing started when there was a need for a soup kitchen in town that had been identified. And so there was a lot of talk about where would the thing go. And I was speaking with some friends who were parishioners at the Knox United Church, and they were saying that it would be perfect to have this soup kitchen in the basement at this Knox United Church because it was big. It was a commercial kitchen, but the church was closing. They were having to amalgamate with Georgian Shores as two united churches within a block of each other. This is what happens, right?
Hmm.
So I went to fortunately, this friend was on the board and had a key. So we went and had a look at it. And it just screamed, this is perfect for so many things. So we took a tour, and I was sold. And then I asked my husband Frank to come and take a tour as well, because it's a big undertaking to even dream about doing something like that. So we toured the place, and the basement was absolutely perfect for a soup kitchen. But then what to do with the rest of the building, right? But because of the other things that we've been involved in, I've been involved with lots of restoration of old buildings. Frank had been very tied to the symphony. Um, our children were involved in choral music. We knew how many arts groups in town needed a place to call their home,
Hmm.
just for office space or rehearsal space. And so it all just kind of started to percolate. And, uh, and we decided to just call a couple of meetings, community meetings, to see if there was interest, if people could catch the vision that this could be a place for a soup kitchen in the basement and arts groups in the building. And that's exactly what happened. It came together. I must say, my dear husband, Frank, his favorite saying whenever I have one of these visions is, I think you're nuts. And in the beginning of our relationship, I used to think that meant, no, don't do it. But I've since learned it doesn't mean that. It just means I think you're nuts. But he does support these things. And so we were able to put together a board of 9 people, 7 others who could also catch the vision and were willing to try to move forward with it. And we did. We bought the building. The Congregation of Knox caught our vision as well and sold the building to us for a ridiculous sum of $200,000.
Wow.
So the capacity that that building represents,
Yeah.
there's a hall, the auditorium with a seating capacity of over 700.
Yeah.
The dining hall downstairs, 190 capacity with a commercial kitchen, and then the commons. Like, it just goes on and on and on.
It's a
And
beautiful
so
building.
it is. And
Yeah.
I'm happy to say, sorry, I could go on and on about this, but I'm happy to say that we have been in the black from the time we opened. And it was the first home of O'Share for 7 years.
I was just
O'Share got
gonna say
established
that.
there.
Yeah.
And originally they thought they'd be serving about 50 meals a night, 5 nights a week. And we know now, well, by the time they left, they had really begun to outgrow our facilities. And they have since moved into a place that's, been renovated specifically for them, and thankfully so, because I know now they're doing hundreds of meals every day.
Yeah.
But for the first 7 years, it was a good partnership, and the building is now home to all kinds of arts groups, not-for-profits, Big Brothers Big Sisters, Safe and Sound. Their executive offices are there. It's a hub, and there's always something really wonderful going on there. Yeah.
I know if you haven't had a chance to check out the Harmony Center, and even just to see some of the performances you have in that hall are phenomenal. Like, you host some of the symphony performances. Am I incorrect in saying that? Or Sweetwater Music Festival?
We did when COVID was on and the schools were closed. The symphonies up in the old high school. Can't remember the name of the school now. But no, Sweetwater is there. Summerfolk now have their offices with us as well. And so there's all kinds of things going on. And just go to Harmony Center, Google Harmony Center, and take a look at it.
There's just so much going on. It's just a beautiful building. Thank you for sharing that with us. I think not very many people know enough of what the Harmony Center is, and I know they have on Sundays you have a gathering of people if you want to just come and hang out and just meet new people if you're new to the area. It's such a great program you guys are off that they have going on there on Sundays.
It's called Solidarity Sundays, and it's run by a group of really wonderful community-minded young folks. And yes, it's just a happy place to be.
It is. You can feel it when you walk in too, how welcoming it is. So can you tell me, for someone who was looking to start a charity, how they would go about doing that? It's a daunting task when you think about it, but you've done it so successfully. So what words of wisdom would you give someone who's looking to do something like that?
Make sure you're not alone. You can't do anything that big by yourself. So, and that's actually for any project, anything that's worthwhile doing in a community, you have to have others who are just as passionate as you are, and make sure others come who have skills that you don't, because we don't have all the skills to do everything. So, we certainly didn't intend to found a charity. That wasn't never something that I set as a goal for my life. But when the opportunity came to save this building and to provide it for at least two major uses that the community needed. We first incorporated as a not-for-profit, but then we realized that we needed to go the charity route, and by doing that, it's seen as a community building, and there are benefits to that as well.
Absolutely. What have you learned about yourself on your journey? You've done quite a lot. Is there something that sticks out that you didn't think? What did you learn about yourself?
I'm actually kind of a quiet person, but I realized that I love to be working with a group of passionate people on a seemingly impossible task. So that's very exciting.
You like a challenge.
I like a challenge, yes. So whether it's the big dig, that was a big challenge for me. I was chairing the then DIA, the big dig, learned so much there and got to meet so many other passionate people working with the city, the engineers, just the whole process was wonderful. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, so
And
for those that don't know what the Big Dig is, they ripped up all of Main Street Owen Sound.
yes, and it wasn't just 1 year. I think we had 4 years of the big dig, and
Yeah.
we replaced 100-year-old infrastructure. And everybody in the downtown thought it was going to be the end of the world. And we weren't sure that it wasn't, but the interesting thing was for many businesses, those were the best 4 years of business. There's something very strange about big change that people find exciting and they want to see, they want to witness it. So they were walking along these little gravel sidewalks and past all of these fences that were, yeah, we learned a lot. And we ended up with a very pretty downtown, a really good downtown to go forward with the next, hopefully not 100 years, but next few decades.
Yeah, I can remember there'd be little plywood walkways sometimes to get across. But yeah, people still came downtown because, it's the heart of the city. It's where you want, yeah. And of course, you want it interesting. You want to see how big the holes were down
They were big.
They were.
They were big. Yeah. So there was that. The next one was probably the MRI campaign, where Owen Sound was the first place in Ontario to basically fundraise for their own MRI. And I was on the campaign cabinet for that. Our goal was $8 million, which seemed like, again, a mountain.
Yeah.
And after 2 years, we had raised, I think, over 11.
Wow.
So that just really opened my eyes to the generosity of people in this community and how people in this community understand we need to do things ourselves. We can't wait for others. So that was great. And I learned so much there. Yeah. So when Harmony Center came along, it was just, yeah, okay, here's another mountain, but look at all these great folks that we're all going to climb it together.
Absolutely. And we don't have a center like the Harmony. We didn't have a center like the Harmony Center in Owen Sound. And it's such I know with the chamber, we've hosted the all candidates meetings there. It's such a great space, and just like I said, when you walk in there, you can just feel the community. And I love that about it. What is something that piques your interest that is unexplored territory for you? I don't know if there's unexplored territory.
When I got to that question, I went, oh. And I think it's writing, which is the weirdest thing because I've never written anything and I don't know if anything will come of it. But I'm just saying this to you. You've asked this question and I'm being really truthful, and I don't know. Yeah, that's all.
It's a passion of mine too, something that I would love to do. Yeah, but it's just so daunting to stare at that blank page and not sure what you have to say. So I hear you on that. Yeah.
Yes. And I do want to mention, we're talking about women and women's voices. Of course, you know about Gwen Lamont and her recent book that she's just, the Ginger Press has published. What's it? The View from Coffin Ridge, A Childhood Exhumed. It's, it's doing very, very well. It's a wonderful book, and it's kind of strange when you just know the person.
Yeah.
And you say, oh, I've written a book, and you go, oh, yeah, okay. It's fabulous. So
It's fabulous. And you can get that at the Ginger Press. Correct?
Yes. Oh, and Harmony Center, there's going to be a book launch at Harmony Center too. So circles within circles.
Yes, full circle. We can find out about the book launch on the Harmony Center website.
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Should be up there somewhere.
Oh, that's excellent. What advice would you give someone who is trying to find their voice? Like you'd mentioned that your husband would tell you were nuts, and of course you'd interpret that in the negative way, but he wasn't meaning it that way. It was meaning that he was inspired by your courage to try something, is what we would take it as. But what advice would you give someone who feels they're being told no and to say yes?
Well, I think there's two different things. That's kind of two different questions. Finding your voice is one thing. Being told no is something else.
All right.
So if you're being told no, I think you've already voiced.
True. That's true.
So finding your voice, I think it's important to listen. I think it's really important to listen to the people who are already in whatever area it is that you're interested in, and see what they're saying. See if they're people you agree with. If there's someone in an area that you're passionate about and they're already speaking very well, support them. Do what you can to lift them up. And I think it's when there's no one speaking about something that you think is really important, that's when you speak. So
that is excellent advice. Thank you so much. I love that. We are just about out of time, Leigh. I thank you so much for joining me today on Her Story. Your story is fascinating, and I've enjoyed speaking with you and learning, and you've given me about 4 things I want to put on a t-shirt and wear around, 4 sayings I want to put on a t-shirt to wear around. It's just so inspiring. I encourage everyone to go check out the Harmony Center and everything it does for our community, and learn what it has to offer. I think the secret ingredient that drives hard work, I think passion is the secret ingredient that drives hard work and excellence. And Leigh's shown that in your whole career. And so thank you so much for everything you've done for our community and everything you've given to our little town of Owen Sound. And with that, I'd like to encourage everyone to get more involved. Find your voice. Find the spark that ignites you to create your own path to your own story. Thank you so much, Leigh, for joining me today.
Thank you, Tiffany. It's been a pleasure.
There we go.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
You're watching an interesting local show on Rogers TV and you want to know more. That's when you head to rogerstv.com. Our website provides more information about our programs, our hosts, our schedule, and about how you too can get involved with Rogers TV. Visit us online at rogerstv.com.
Are you a passionate content creator ready to expand your audience reach? Do you have unique stories, captivating hobbies, or special interests that deserve a spotlight? Rogers TV is here to amplify your voice within the community. We offer you the platform to broadcast your content to a wider audience.